Imagine a world where the mind was a complete mystery, where questions about thoughts, emotions, and behavior had no scientific answers. Now, fast forward to today, when understanding our minds is key to everything from mental health to creativity and innovation. But how did we get here? Why does it matter that we look back at the origins of psychology? As swirling images of brains, ancient manuscripts, and bustling 19th century laboratories blend across the screen, we're reminded that every breakthrough starts with a bold idea. The journey to understanding ourselves began with a single, revolutionary step: the decision to study the human mind, not just with philosophy, but with science. In this video, we invite you to explore the fascinating story of Wilhelm Wundt, the man who turned questions into experiments and curiosity into a whole new science. Because by looking back at where psychology began, we gain fresh insights into who we are and who we might become. When we talk about psychology today, we're usually thinking about therapy, experiments, maybe even brain scans. But where did it all begin? Who was the first person to say, let's study the mind, scientifically? That person was Wilhelm Wundt. He's often called the father of modern psychology, and for good reason. He founded the very first psychology lab, defined a new method for studying the mind, and helped launch psychology as its own field, separate from philosophy and biology. In this video, we'll dive into Wundt's life, his groundbreaking work, the ideas that influenced him, and the legacy he left behind. Wilhelm Maximilian Wundt entered the world on August 16, 1832. His birthplace was the quaint, small town of Neckarau, nestled near Mannheim in Germany, a region steeped in history and tradition. His father served as a Lutheran pastor, instilling in young Wundt a deep sense of faith and moral grounding. Wundt's upbringing was deeply rooted in both religious devotion and a strong academic environment, shaping his intellectual curiosity from an early age. As a child, he wasn't exactly a prodigy. In fact, he faced some struggles in his early schooling. He was often described as a quiet and withdrawn child, perhaps more comfortable in his own thoughts than in the bustling classroom. But he eventually turned things around through perseverance and dedication. He enrolled at the University of Tübingen, and later broadened his horizons by studying at Heidelberg and Berlin. It was here that he pursued medicine, while also developing a strong and abiding interest in both physiology and philosophy. These two seemingly disparate fields, the objective rigor of the physical sciences and the introspective exploration of the mind, would later converge and become the very backbone of his unique approach to the burgeoning field of psychology. During his formative studies, Wundt had the distinct privilege of working under the guidance of Hermann von Helmholtz, widely regarded as one of the greatest scientists of the 19th century. Helmholtz, a true polymath, was a renowned physiologist, physicist, and prolific inventor, and he profoundly influenced Wundt's scientific thinking and methodologies. In the 1850s and 60s, Wilhelm Wundt began to explore the intricate connection between the human brain, our senses, and the realm of conscious experience. He started publishing insightful works on sensory physiology and the function of the nervous system, laying the groundwork for his future endeavors. And he began teaching at the esteemed University of Heidelberg. It was here, amidst the academic atmosphere, that Wundt meticulously developed the very foundation for what he would later famously call experimental psychology. He firmly believed that mental processes, things like perception, attention, and even reaction time, weren't mystical, abstract, or fundamentally unknowable. Instead, they could be carefully observed, accurately measured, and rigorously tested, in much the same way as any other physical phenomena. In 1862, he bravely taught the first-ever university course specifically dedicated to scientific psychology. This groundbreaking move may not seem particularly revolutionary to us now, but at the time, it represented a massive and fundamental shift in thinking. Psychology had for so long been primarily a branch of philosophy, relying heavily on argument and introspection, rather than empirical data. Wundt was absolutely determined to change that established paradigm. The true turning point, a pivotal moment in the history of psychology, came in 1879. That year, at the esteemed University of Leipzig, Wilhelm Wundt established what would become the world's first dedicated laboratory for experimental psychology. This marked a clear departure from philosophical approaches. This wasn't just a room filled with books and comfortable chairs for contemplation. It was a fully functioning scientific lab, complete with specialized equipment, eager students, and meticulously designed experiments all aimed at studying conscious experience in a rigorous, empirical way. One of Wundt's most famous methods was introspection, but not the casual, unstructured kind where you simply sit and reflect on your feelings. Wundt rigorously trained his students to carefully report their internal experiences in a highly controlled and systematic manner. For example, in a typical experiment, participants might be exposed to a carefully calibrated sound or a flash of light. They would then immediately describe in detail the quality, intensity, and duration of their sensations. Everything had to be conducted under strictly controlled experimental conditions to ensure reliability. He also meticulously measured reaction times, often asking participants to press a button as quickly as possible when they heard a specific sound or saw a brief flash of light. This helped him gain insights into how long it took for various mental processes to unfold. Wundt firmly believed that by carefully breaking down complex experiences into their most basic elements, such as simple sensations and fundamental perceptions, you could begin to systematically understand the underlying structure of the mind itself. This pioneering approach eventually came to be widely known as structuralism. Wundt didn't just make up his methods from scratch. He was heavily influenced by both physiology and philosophy, bridging these two worlds. Interestingly, Wundt also developed Volker psychology, or folk psychology, to study things like myth, religion, and language development across cultures. Wundt trained hundreds of students, many of whom went on to shape psychology around the world. His student G. Stanley Hall brought experimental psychology to the United States and became the first president of the American Psychological Association. But Wundt's influence wasn't just in the people he taught, it was in the way he changed how people thought about psychology. Before Wundt, studying the mind was philosophy. After Wundt, it became science. Today you can trace almost every branch of psychology back to that lab in Leipzig. As we look around today's bustling psychology labs and vibrant classrooms, it's clear that Wilhelm Wundt's vision still echoes through every experiment and discovery. His commitment to understanding the mind not only created a new science, it empowered generations to ask deeper questions about what it means to be human. Wundt's legacy is alive in every student who peers into the mysteries of behavior, in every researcher who seeks to unravel the mind's complexity, and in every breakthrough that brings us closer to understanding ourselves. So as you reflect on Wundt's story, consider how his pioneering spirit continues to shape the science and practice of psychology today. If you found this journey enlightening, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories from the world of psychology. Who do you think has carried Wundt's torch into the modern era? Share your thoughts in the comments below.